The goal of our last activity is to complete your design review packet in a way that's appropriate for project approval. So it has to have enough information so that a, a person who really doesn't know this project can make an informed decision about whether to allow the project to move forward or not. Now, this will be somewhat standalone as it is. So that means that the first thing you're going to need to do is add your new information from your work here that you've done, right? All of these cool things that you've done. We need to add those onto your design review template that you've already made. So that will be to document the results of your design work and clearly show how the new design will work and how it will meet the design requirements. Create a summary, and I'm going to show you part of that. Create a summary page, explain the who, what, where, when, and why, and how of your work. This is it's a summary so that somebody can go right to this and get the gist of it. And then, of course, publish your work to PDF. So let's take a look and see how we might do that. What I've done is I've gone and I've taken my work from last week, my design review template that I did, which you can recognize here from our work from last week. And many of you did very nice work on that. And I've added my new work. And I've done part of the job. I've kind of given a brief description right here. So this is add your new views to the design review template. Clearly show how the new design will work. I've done that. I haven't really said how it will meet the design requirements. I might need a little bit more information here to do that. If I did, I'd have to go on to another page. Now look at how I've got this laid out. I've got what they call a 2/3, 1/3, where the primary image takes up 2/3 of the page, and then the supporting images take up the other third. And then I did, in that other third, I did a 2/3, 1/3, where about 2/3 of it is taken up with the primary thing that I'm looking to show. And then I've got these other ones. So look at how clean this is. I've also decided to add a drop shadow. That's in the formats. I put a drop shadow on so that the eye can see this arrangement fairly easily. Might even want to put a drop shadow around that. Or if nothing else, maybe a light, something light that helps me see where it is. And see, I can already see that this needs to line up a little bit better, and this needs to move upward, or this needs to move downward just a touch. There we go, which means that this needs to move downward just a touch to line up. So taking care to have this all work and look very clean and even and organized is really important now, because this is more than just learning your modeling. This is how you present your model so that somebody might want to be able to move it forward. You can do all the work in the world and it can be great, but if it's not accepted and doesn't get built, it's really not a design. It's what we call art. So you can see what I've done here. I've given some text. I've shown the work that I've done so far. I've done some annotations so that people know what I'm looking at. I've done a little bit of extra to show how this works. And I think I need to make sure that this line comes a little bit closer to that hole. So I'm also giving a little bit of information about how it works. There's a few things that are missing that you might want to reorganize. I don't have my purchase I don't have my list that I made. Now I've got them here. I have the information on here, so that will suffice. But I haven't really demonstrated on this that I am meeting all the design requirements. Somebody would have to go back to these to do that. Okay, but that's still not too bad. So that's got our add the new views, create a summary page. And that's to explain who, what, where, when, why, and how. Those are just typical questions that you have to answer in a design review. People should be asking you things that have those components in them. So let's see what that might look like. So one way to do it is to make a little text box for who, what, where, when, and why, and how, and figure out what you want to answer. So somebody might ask the question, who is this project for? Who is involved in this project? Who's doing this project? And so you could describe who is involved in the project, and be sure that when you do so, this is about a foster youth support program. You absolutely have to show that you understand that and that this design is going to be geared toward supporting foster youth. So be sure that you've done that. So this is one way to set it up, right? Write who, what, where, when, why, and how, and then figure out what you want to say. Answer some question or make some statement or some explanation that considers the who of the project. Now, these are just ones that I came up with. You might come up with other ones. You might also wish, instead of writing these out in these little boxes like this, actually write a nice paragraph that includes these. If you were to do that, you would write these all as comments and then somehow string them all together into a very coherent paragraph. It's a summary. So it's really just one paragraph that contains this if you do it that way. And you might want to have some images to go along with it. You do not need such large font. You don't need them in boxes. I do this so that I can make it very clear that I have addressed the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And this is going to be one of your more important slides. I am going to go to your summary first to see if you can clearly and concisely explain this project, your design concept, and the fit between the two. That's every bit as important as figuring out your model. Now, your models have to support that. That's why we're doing all this work with these models. And as you can see, I used SketchUp and I used a component. You could do a cool layout. You could do a cool feature. I haven't reviewed everybody's work yet, but I'm sure that you've all got some good items to put in here. And some of you might work in Revit and some might work in SketchUp. But that is the last part. And then, of course, it's publish it to PDF, which you guys pretty well know how to do. But what I want you to do is make sure that after you've published it as a PDF document, that everything, it's just a double check. And you should get used to doing double checks. That things laid out and worked in the right format and everything looks okay. So I'm going through here and making sure. And make sure that your links work. Oh, there we go. There we go. So I got there. What else would we be looking at? And I didn't do that quite right. I could go to my downloads, but I'm just going to go to it again. PDF. When you follow links, always use right click, open a new tab. This is looking okay, but look, I'm seeing that I've got a little bit of an issue as I've set these out. So I'm going to have to go back and fix this. This doesn't look good. Okay, there's something wrong here. This isn't all working out right. I see right here that I've got a lot of open space in this area that I might want to go back and do some work with. This one looks like it came out okay. This one looks like it came out okay. Right, I'm just looking to see if everything is arranged properly. I do see that this is a little hard to see here. I might want to change that color. This is your chance to self-reflect and go over it. I'm seeing that this right here, the motion of the bed, is a little bit close to, see how there's a nice gap here between the words and the frame, and here they're very close. So I might have to do a little bit of work there. Right, so look at it with a critical eye to see how it looks and how it lays out. One looks like it's looking pretty well. And there we go. So I did, in looking it over, find a few things that I might want to go back. We're really looking for care, conscientiousness in your work, completeness, details, consistency. These are all words that would go with this. So you can see that I've got a consistent font, consistent colors. I've done a pretty good job being consistent with my text height. My slide layout is consistent. My page size is consistent. This is maybe not so consistent. These big arrows, and this is not very consistent with how I'm working down here. So I'm missing some consistency there. All right, so really looking at paying attention here. This modeling took me maybe an hour. And as you know, this class is 6 to 9 hours a week. So it gives you a lot of time, or you can take do a little bit more detail. But it gives you some time to really go through this and do a very, very as complete job as you can. Now, complete does not mean being overly verbose, saying the same thing over and over and over again. Clarity and briefness is important. But when you make something clear and brief, you always have to go back to make sure that you are taking care of all of the things that need to be taken care of. All right, so there we go. Let's see if there's anything else. That's the publish your work, create a page summary. I think that's it. And what you saw on mine was fairly appropriate for a project approval packet. I will post the PDF of this in the samples for this week. There you go. I look forward to seeing your work to really wrap up this conceptual design work for your customized design number 1, week 10, design 320.